So I welcome all the students for our today's lecture. This is for 12th standard English compulsory, and the novel which we shall be discussing about the brainstorming question and answers is 4.3 Around the World in 80 Days by Jules Gabriel Verne. So in this brainstorming question and answers we shall be discussing from question A1 to A5. So the first sub question is for character A1. Which among the following is not a major character of the novel? Justify, select the correct one. So the four options are A. Phileas Fogg, Aouda, James Strand and Jean Passepartout. So the correct answer for this is James Strand, because he is the thief that Detective Fix has been always trying to catch. So the next is complete the table highlighting the various traits of the major characters in the extract. So to know this particular question, we should know all the four major characters of this particular novel. So the four major characters are Phileas Fogg, Aouda, Passepartout and Detective Fix. So of Phileas Fogg we know that he was solitary, honest, punctual, courageous, calm, generous and brave. Aouda is grateful, concerning, sweet, loyal, sincere, very noble and selfless. Passepartout is loyal, faithful, repentant, loving, concerned and brave. Detective Fix is dutiful yet stupid, uncreative and stubborn. So the next question is the third one. Phileas Fogg is as cool as a cucumber, whereas Passepartout is as crazy as a loon. Explain the statement by citing some reference from the extract. So what's the difference between both of them? That he is very cool while the other one is crazy. Let us understand. So Passepartout's personality is completely opposite to Fogg's. While Fogg is serious and meticulous, Passepartout is comical and clumsy, that is, he is very lazy. Fogg is worldly, rational and capable of making informed decisions after carefully studying any situation. That means all his decisions are taken after thinking about it logically. While Passepartout is naive, he is gullible and tends to get carried away on occasion. That means anybody can just change his decision. So this is the main difference between both of them, and at many a times he gets carried away on the particular occasion. This is evident when he is manipulated by Fix into hiding Fix's true motives, which results in Fogg's arrest at the Liverpool, that is in the climax. Passepartout on the other hand is energetic and sometimes burdensome and always wears his heart on his sleeve at all times. That means if we look at Passepartout, he is more braver than Phileas Fogg. He is willing to take any kind of decisions, he is willing to take any kind of risk all the time. He is also burdened by his guilt of keeping a secret from Fogg, that he wept till he was blind and he felt like blowing his brains out. When it becomes clear that Fogg has lost the bet, Fogg bears this too calmly and without any restraint. Though he is depressed at not having lost everything, he behaves rationally and maturely and begins to think about his next course of action. Passepartout, in contrast, is tortured by remorse and even besides his own guilt is anxious and worried about his master. He urges Fogg to react to the situation with anger, but instead Fogg chooses to remain calm. This is the main difference between both of them. Determined to make his master understand, Passepartout even asks Aouda to talk to him. As Fogg goes about making arrangements calmly, Passepartout is constantly keeping a watch on him because he fears that something terrible might happen at any moment. He eventually gets so restless that, finding himself too wretched to remain alone, he knocks at Aouda's door for company. Thus, Passepartout's emotional, impulsive and energetic personality is in definite contrast to Fogg's calm and contemplative nature. The next question is the fourth one. Detective Fix tried hard but could not fix the charge of robbery on Fogg. Explain the statement from this point of view. So, Detective Fix is tenacious and determined inspector who suspects Phileas Fogg of robbing the Bank of England. His suspicions are confirmed when a drawing of the robber bears a close resemblance to Fogg, that he thinks that both the Fogg and the robber is somewhat the same. However, Fix cannot arrest Fogg without a warrant. At the same time, he does not want Fogg to get away and thus follow him around the world on his travels, all the while waiting for the warrant to even though Fix is sometimes identified as the antagonist of the novel. His desire to catch Fogg is not motivated by enmity. That means he does not see Fogg as his enemy, but he only does that because he thinks that it is his duty to arrest the criminal. Instead, Fick's motivation is primarily professional. He deems it his duty to catch the robber and bring him to the justice. However, it is also true that Fick desires the reward and the fame that awaits for the detective who will catch the robber. So we cannot say that it is somewhere his enmity, but he wants fame that he will gain after catching that robber who has robbed the Bank of England. So in some way there is a subplot behind the main plot. He succeeds in placing numerous obstacles in Fogg's path and does not even get catched. So Fogg also does not know what is Fix really behind. Though it is easy for the reader to detest Fix for delaying the disrupting Fogg's plans, his motive is somewhat justified as Fogg's innocence is never truly confirmed until the end of the novel. So we don't know whether Fogg is actually behaving innocent or he is really innocent. So at the end, that is in the climax, when he actually gets caught by Fix, that time we come to know that Fogg is actually very innocent. Fix is noble in his mission to catch a criminal, but also wavers from his morals when he tries to manipulate Passepartout. So if he would be a true policeman, he would try to catch Fogg on his own, but not trying to somehow manipulate his loyal servant. He even begins to doubt whether Fogg is guilty or not. Even so, he continues to make efforts to arrest Fogg. Eventually, his efforts are rewarded as the warrant arrives in time for him to arrest Fogg at Liverpool. This completely throws off Fogg's plans and ruins his chance of reaching the Reform Club in time. Though choice at first, Fick soon realizes that he has made a grave mistake when the news of the actual robber being caught reaches him. This discovery leaves him very guilty and ashamed that Fogg punches him in anger. So we hadn't seen Fogg getting angry so much on anybody, but unfortunately it was Fix who had to take the first punch of the entire novel. So he realizes that was really actually his mistake, so he does not retaliate, that means he does not react to it, and he accepts the fact. Thus, even though Fix travels the world in order to catch Fogg, he could not prove him as the robber. The next is the fifth one. Describe the character sketch of Aouda from Fogg's point of view. So Aouda is a charming young woman rescued from dangerous circumstances by Fogg, who then brought her all the way from India to London to guarantee her safety. She is adventurous and tough in her decision to journey around the world with Fogg. Aouda seems to have the qualities of the perfect companion for a man such as Fogg. She is beautiful, sophisticated, and the kind. Throughout their journey, she is grateful to Fogg for saving her. This gratitude soon turns into love. Fogg's cold, serious, and secretive nature is no match for Aouda's love. Slowly, she begins to penetrate his tough exterior, and in the end, she is softened by her love. She is therefore perceptive, for she recognizes that even though on the surface Fogg seems mechanical and emotionless, he is the kind of the gentle heart. She is very loyal, but she weeps bitterly when Fogg is arrested and never doubts his integrity. She is caring when she sees that he is disappointed and hurt. She asks Passepartout to never leave his side. Moreover, she is just as self-respecting as Fogg himself, for when she finds out that he has lost his fortune, her love for him does not change. She is also equally brave and bold, for she is the first one to propose him for marriage, which he accepts. Even though the trip around the world earns Fogg nothing, he considers himself to be the happiest of all the men, because Aouda's love has been his greatest reward. Thus, even though if he wins the bet, his ultimate victory lies in attaining Aouda's love. Next is the plot. The A2 question, first one. So moving on to the next question is related with plot. So the A2 activity, the first activity is arrange the incidents in correct sequence as their occurrences in the extract. So these are some statements such as Aouda accepted Fogg's proposal of marriage. When set free, the first thing that Fogg did was he knocked Fix down. As part of duty, Fix arrested Fogg, and the last is at the 57th second, Fogg entered the Reform Club salon. So the correct sequence is that the C is the first one, like as part of duty, Fix arrested Fogg. The next is the B1. When set free, the first thing that Fogg did was he knocked Fix down. After that, we have A, which is Aouda accepted Fogg's proposal of marriage. And finally, the last one, at the 57th second, Fogg entered the Reform Club salon. While the second sub-activity is, there is a sudden twist in the climax of the novel, explained by citing some lines and relevant examples from the extract. So what is the twist in the climax? When Fogg, Passepartout, and Aouda arrive in London on Saturday 21st December at 8:50 p.m., they are 5 minutes late and Fogg loses the bet. Disappointed and depressed, Fogg retires to his room. The night passes and the next morning, that is on Sunday, Fogg decides to talk to Aouda. He apologizes to Aouda because he has lost his fortune and cannot provide her with the comfortable life which she had promised earlier. Aouda in return confesses her love for him and they plan to get married the next day, which is on Monday. Until this point, the characters and the readers are under the impression that the bet is lost. However, in the very next chapter, it is revealed that Fogg had arrived just in time to win the bet. The missing explanation is provided in the last chapter, which serves as the climax of the novel. When Passepartout arrives at the Reverend's house to hire his service for Fogg and Uda's marriage for the next day on Monday. He realizes that the next day is not Monday, but in fact it is Sunday. He rushes back home to Fogg and conveys this to Fogg in the following line: because tomorrow is Sunday. Passepartout had quickly concluded that if tomorrow were in fact Sunday, then today must be Saturday, 21st of December. This meant that Fogg could still win the bet because the deadline of the bet is 8:45 p.m. on Saturday, 21st of December. This is obviously a shocking turn of events that can be seen in the exciting interaction between Passepartout and Fogg as the truth is revealed in the lines. You have been made a mistake by one day. We arrived 24 hours ahead of time. But there are only 10 minutes left. Within only 10 minutes left to spare, Passepartout pushes Fogg into a cab as if it looks like he's kidnapping him, and all of them move on to the Reform Club and win the bet. What is the most important and surprising fact about the climax is the error of the part of Fogg who holds the reputation of being a master calculator and organizer. Somewhere we come to see that Fogg, while traveling to the different timelines, has forgotten about the time. The narrator asks the reader, is thinking in the lines, how was it that a man so exact and fastidious could have made this error of a day? The cause of the error turned out to be the Fogg had forgotten about the time he gained as he travelled eastward around the world, and the sudden twist is then plainly explained in the line. Phileas Fogg had, without suspecting it, gained one day on his journey, and this merely because he travelled constantly eastward. Thus, the climax offers a sudden turn of events, and its shocking nature is apparent in the excited reactions of the main characters as the twist is revealed to them. Moving on to the next question. Which of the following is an appropriate reason for Phileas Fogg's starting journey around the world? Was it A. Fellow members bet Fogg, B. Fogg bets his fellow members, C. Fogg wanted to marry Uda, or is it D. Fogg committed robbery? So the correct answer to this is A. Fellow members bet Fogg. Next is the subtype of setting. The A3 first activities. Which of the following are used as means of transport in the novel, and how do they help the characters in the extract? So there are four objects such as an elephant, horse, train and steamer. All four of the given modes of transport are used by Fogg and his companions at some time or other during the course of the journey. However, in the given extract, only the train has been used to travel from Liverpool to London after he was arrested by Fix. Worried that he might not take in time and win the bet, Fogg, Passepartout and Uda arrive at the station to catch the express train to London. However, the express train has already left the station. Desperate to reach London, Fogg then orders a special train and bribes the engineer to set out London as soon as possible. There is also the mention of the steamer, a particular kind of boat from China, which the men at the Reform Club assume Fogg must have taken to come to Liverpool. However, this journey is not part of the extract in the reality. Fogg had missed the steamer and ended up finding an alternative way to reach the Liverpool. The beginning of the extract is a scene in the prison at the custom house. From there, the novel moves further, one place, spot to another. Pick and explain all the places, spots where the incidents took place. The most of the part of the setting of in the extract is in London. Explain how the setting of the extract is suited for the theme of the novel. The following is an outline of the places, spots mentioned in the extract. The extract begins in the prison at the custom house in Liverpool, where Fogg has arrived. Fogg has wrongly been imprisoned by Fix and the deadline is near and he has to complete the bet. Fogg's arrest at Liverpool proves to be worst blow to his plans. Once released, Fogg and his companions rush to the station to take a train to London. Here, however, Fogg orders a special train and bribes the engineer to set out for London as soon as possible. This shows Fogg's desperation to reach London in time. However, they are too late when they arrive in London. Fogg loses the bet and they all go to Fogg's home, which is the only place they can allow themselves to be truly upset and relieve themselves. It is also the sanctuary for Aouda, who has been provided with food and shelter. It is here in Fogg's home that Fogg and Aouda confess their love for each other and they decide to marry with each other. Therefore, they send Passepartout to hire a reverend, that is, a person who could marry them. The very next day, Passepartout's interaction with the Reverend makes it very clear that they have made a grave mistake in keeping time and that there is still some time left before the deadline. Both of them believe it is Sunday and they could get easily married on Monday. But here, Passepartout learns that it is not Monday, tomorrow is not going to be Monday, and today is not Sunday. Actually, it is Saturday. Passepartout then travels back home to Savile Row, quickly convinces Fogg to come along and they rush to the Reform Club where they arrive just in the time to win the bet. Importance of the setting of London to the theme of the novel is that the extract is set primarily in the 1870s of London. This setting is best suited for the novel because the Industrial Revolution in Great Britain led the development of many modern means of transport. These made world travel a realistic goal and inspired Verne's stories. The novel's theme of adventure and excitement are both directly related to the use of these marvelous inventions as the main character relies on them to undertake his adventures around the world. So, with the help of all the inventions that had been taken place, especially during the Industrial Revolution, gave Verne to write such a story where the leader or the main character can take help of all the machines and travel around the world. So it made the novel not only realistic but the people also believed it. Lastly, the Victorian era setting of London, England highlights the themes of morality and honor. During this era, the notion of a gentleman was considered to be the matter of pride and honor. So here, the gentleman is not a person who has a lot of wealth, cars, money, homes, but a person who is a person or a gentleman by his word. He can do anything to keep his word or prove himself. A gentleman was considered to be typically associated with wealth and privilege, but also possessed the values of morality, generosity, and proper etiquettes. Because of this, it is a very important. Moving on to the third question, describe the importance of the following places in the development of the plot and behavior of the characters. The various places which are mentioned are Liverpool, London Reform Club, and Savile Row. And finally, the last place is Edensburg. Let us understand the importance of each place. So, Liverpool is the place. It is the final stop in Fogg's 80th day journey before he returns to London. It is of particular importance to Detective Fix because it marks Fogg's arrival in England, where he gets the authority to arrest him. This arrest severely delays Fogg's plans to reach the Reform Club before the deadline and he almost loses the bet. Moving on to London, it marks the beginning and the ending of Fogg's 80th day journey. Towards the end of the novel, reaching London becomes the most important objective for Fogg, and when he is released from prison, he even orders a special train and bribes an engineer to go to London, the Reform Club. It acts as the starting point of the plot, since it is the place where the bet is first made. The members of the Reform Club, as with all gentlemen, club of the era holds the value of honor and morality in high esteem, which leads to Fogg accepting the bet and defend his honor. It is also the place where the bet is finally won and the action of novel is resolved. The next is the Savile Row. This is Fogg's home. It is a street where Fogg lives, located in central London. It is an upscale neighborhood, indicating that Fogg is a wealthy man. So this is one of the wealthiest and the richest places in London, showing that Fogg is extremely wealthy. From the point of view of the extract, Savile Row is significant because of two reasons. Not only in the first place where Fogg truly allows himself to be upset after losing the bet, but it is the place where Fogg and Aouda declare their love for each other. Both these instances serve as the reminder of Fogg's transformation from a cold, solitary, distant living individual to a loving and more softened person who understood the power of human relationships at the end. Edinburgh. It is the place where the actual robber of the Bank of England is finally arrested. Because of his arrest, Fogg has been wrongly imprisoned, is finally released, and is free to go to London, even after the deadline of the bet draws near. In addition, the actual robber's arrest clears Fogg's name in the eyes of the English people, and they once again consider him to be a man of honor and even place bets in their favor of him, successfully completing his extraordinary journey after the world. When Fix arrests him, it is seen that all the people suddenly start to believe that the actual robber of Bank of England is none other than Fogg. But here, after the release of Fogg, everybody understands that he is the real man of honor and he has not done anything wrong. Here we can see people start believing in him again. Select the correct options. Which one of the following places in India are not mentioned in the extract? So is it Bombay, Allahabad, Chennai or Calcutta? So the correct answer is Allahabad and Chennai are not mentioned in the novel. Next is the theme. The A4 first activity is find and explain in the significance of the various exciting incidents in the extract. So first is Fogg's release. Fix arrests Fogg at Liverpool and severely delays his plan to reach London on time to win the bet. Fogg and the others are devastated. However, several hours later, Fix finally realizes his mistake and releases Fogg. This causes excitement as the tone of the extract changes from one disappointment to sudden hope as Fogg races to make it to London on time. Arrival at London. Fogg, Passepartout and Aouda finally arrive in London after several delays and obstacles, but realize that they are 5 to 10 minutes late and Fogg has lost the bet. This incident is exciting because it changes the tone of the extract from hope to sudden disappointment. Aouda's proposal. At Savile Row, Fogg finally allows himself to be depressed for the very first time. Here, Passepartout and Aouda too share Fogg's feelings and the atmosphere of gloomy hangs over Savile Row. However, these moods of sorrow emerge a glimmer of happiness when Aouda confesses her love and Fogg also admits his love for her. Both of them decide to get married. Here, the message of the novel is that true love and happiness, the idea of which help Fogg to come out of the state out of depression. This incident is also exciting because it is ultimately leads to the discovery of the true date, thus allowing Fogg to win the bet. Passepartout's discovery. When Passepartout sets out to hire the service of a reverend who could marry Fogg and Aouda, he discovers that the deadline of the bet has not been passed. This leads to the complete turn of events, which ultimately results in Fogg winning the bet. Thus, this discovery is subsequent explanation are a source of great excitement to the reader. The last is Fogg's triumph. In the final moment of the bet, 5 members of the Reform Club await Fogg's arrival. However, they are not convinced that they have won the bet and Fogg will not return at time. At this point, the climax has not been revealed to the reader. The reader and the major characters are under the impression that Fogg has lost the bet. However, Fogg arrives at the club mere seconds before the deadline, leaving the members of the club and more importantly the readers of the novel in absolute shock at this turn of the event. Moving on to the next second sub-question, write 4 to 5 sentences on the time theme of the extract. So here time plays an important and crucial role in the extract. From beginning, Fogg thinks that he somewhere was able to capture and manipulate time at his will, but it kept on teaching him its value. Time can neither be controlled nor be manipulated. We humans are at its mere mercy. The next question is, write 4 to 5 sentences on the morality theme of the extract. Fogg begins the entire journey for the sake of his word and honor. He is desperate not for fame or money, but he had spoken of doing so. Passepartout is willing to do anything for his friend and master. His attempts show his loyalty towards Fogg. Aouda is grateful towards the man who saved her. Her concern and loyalty turn Fogg into a loving man who once lived a solitary and lonely life. All of them complete the journey together. The wage that is won by Fogg is divided into Fix and Passepartout, while Fogg wins a charming lady for himself. The fourth one is, write the central idea of the given extract of the novel Around the World in 80 Days. The given extract focuses on the importance of human connections and relations. Before undertaking the trip around the world, Fogg lived a lonely life, a solitary life, all alone. He was detached from society and did not care about the people what thought of him. However, by the end of the trip, Fogg realizes the significance of human connections and relationships. In Passepartout, he finds a loyal and trustworthy friend, while in Aouda, a wonderful and charming partner. Thus, through his many adventures, he gains an understanding and appreciation of its interpersonal relationship, which he never had before considered. This is the greatest reward from the trip. The ending of the novel is unexpected and leads to a sudden twist of events which results in Fogg winning the bet. Fifth question is, justice is served, done in the end, explain. The journey undertaken by Fogg and Passepartout when they set out to circumnavigate the world in 80 days is filled with dangerous obstacles and impossibly difficult situations. However, with Fogg's determination and wit and Passepartout's clever ways, they managed to overcome the numerous challenges before them and still find time to do good for others. In addition, even under trying circumstances, Fogg does not compromise on his morals just for once, providing time and again that is his truly gentlemanship. While on their journey, Fogg rescues Aouda from a terrible fate in India and brings her along with him to England. They, the brave they brave many dangers together and steadily inch close to the goal. They finally arrive at Liverpool, which is the final stop before London. It is the last day of the bet and they have arrived in Liverpool just on time. Just when Fogg begins to believe that his hard work and labor will soon be paid off, he is arrested by Detective Fix, who thinks that he is the robber from England. This blows Fogg's plans on reaching London on time. This arrest is particularly cruel because not only Fogg, not the actual robber, but also because Fogg was so close to reaching his goal. Even though Fix eventually realizes his mistake and releases Fogg, they miss the deadline and Fogg loses the bet. At this point, one feels very sympathetic towards Fogg because he is very honest, kind, and honorable man who worked so hard and came so far in this epic journey. But in the end, it all went to waste and for no fault for this particular own. However, through a series of events involving coincidences and sheer luck, Fogg realizes that the deadline has not been passed and he reaches the Reform Club just in time and wins the bet. At this point, one feels very good because it is not only good luck, it's almost everything is with Fogg. Thus, the novel ends with Fogg being rewarded for his efforts. He not only wins the bet and defends his honor, but also earns the love of a very charming woman, Aouda. Hence, one can say that justice was served. So, the last question of language is, following are some dialogues of the major characters in the extract. Find out who the speaker is his, her or her tone, style and significance etc. of the dialogue. So here the dialogues are, why do you not curse me? It was my fault that if Phileas Fogg had come in by 7:23 train, he would have got there by time. We can therefore regard the bet as won. Sir, forgive me a most unfortunate resemblance of the robber arrested there ago 3 days. You are free. Will you pardon me for bringing you to England? Is this for me to ask the question? You were ruined, and how are you rich again? Speakers Passepartout and said to Phileas Fogg. In the next one, it is Andrew Stuart saying to who is the antagonist of the Reform Club. Next is sent by Detective Fix to Phileas Fogg. The fourth is said by Phileas Fogg to Aouda. The fifth is said by Aouda to Phileas Fogg. Now the tone and style. Repentant thinks himself responsible for not telling Phileas Fogg and Fix about Fix earlier. The next between Andrew Stuart and the Reform Club members is that they are very nervous and anxious and want to know what happened to Fogg because they think that Fogg can win the wager if he could still meet the deadline. The third is repentant and very apologizes. He says that he is very sorry for arresting the innocent Phileas Fogg. The fourth is proud and honorable, asking pardon from Aouda for bringing her to England to false hopes and when he has now become very poor. The fifth one states that it is honorable and dignified, says that after Fogg wins the wager and asks her whether she still wanted to marry him. Here we end today's lecture of brainstorming Q&A.